All right, let's jump right into this explainer and unpack a pretty wild mystery: why making more money can suddenly feel like you actually have less. We've all been sold this idea, right? That the path to financial freedom is a straight line. You work hard, you get promoted, you earn a higher salary, and boom, inevitably, your wealth grows. But if you look around, it's like a scoreboard showing record-breaking numbers in a stadium that's somehow emptying out. The wealth of the median American adult has actually been falling, even as salaries rise. So what is going on here? Why does moving up the ladder sometimes feel like you're literally stepping backward?
Well, take Mark. Last month, Mark got exactly what he'd been grinding for: a 10% raise, a shiny new title, and the corner office. But this morning, he sat down with his budget and realized something terrifying. His actual, spendable cash, it went down by $400 a month compared to a year ago. And here's the absolute kicker. He didn't buy a boat. He didn't buy a Rolex, no wild shopping sprees. He just met the 3 silent partners waiting in the shadows for every high earner's paycheck.
So, we have to ask, who are these silent partners waiting for your paycheck? What is quietly taking a cut of your hard-earned progress? You see, there are these invisible forces that immediately attach themselves to your new income bracket. And it's not just taxes. Though, yeah, the IRS is for sure a silent partner who never attends a family meeting but always demands a slice of the pie. No, it's this brutal combination of systemic rules and psychological traps that quietly reprice your entire life the exact second your salary goes up.
Act 1. The math of the raise.
Let's start with the mathematical gauntlet that every high earner runs through when they get a bump in pay. It is incredibly important to separate the headline number your boss tells you from the actual reality that hits your checking account. Before you even see it, a $10,000 raise, well, it isn't $10,000. Taxes and bracket creep, which just means a higher percentage of this new money is taxed compared to your base salary, instantly slice that 10 grand down to roughly $6,000 of actual take-home pay. That's your first silent partner. But then comes the second, way more insidious partner, your own brain. When you get a raise, your brain quietly gives you permission to stop being weird about money. Economists call this a higher marginal propensity to consume. In plain English, because you haven't built a rigid saver's balance sheet yet, your brain sees new money and immediately finds shiny new things to spend it on.
We can see this perfectly with Alton. Alton is a software developer pulling in about $132,000 a year. Just to put that into perspective, that is more than double what a typical electrician makes. Over 6 years, Alton gained a massive $30,000 raise. Sounds amazing, right? But if you peek into his garage, you're going to find a Peloton gathering dust, a kayak that's touched water exactly twice, and a brand new truck. Alton literally can't tell you where his raise went, because despite a massive jump in income, he hasn't built any real wealth. He never actually felt that raise.
You see, Alton fell hard into what we call the graduation reflex. The raise arrived right around the time his second child did. Naturally, childcare in his metro area jumped north of $13,000 a year. They upgraded to a bigger house, carrying a payment $1,100 higher, and that new truck, well, it replaced an older car that completely died, carrying a payment near the national average of $770 a month. Now listen, these weren't reckless splurges. They were totally defensible adult decisions made by a reasonable person just trying to provide for their family. But combined, these creeping fixed costs completely devoured his raise before it ever hit his account. And here's the thing you have to understand. Falling into this trap isn't because you're bad with money. It is not a character flaw. As our source material brilliantly points out, that is simply arithmetic wearing a disguise. You make completely logical step-by-step lifestyle upgrades that perfectly match your new net income. And the result? You are left with absolutely zero surplus at the end of the month. Act 2. Beware the hidden cliffs. But hey, personal choices and the graduation reflex are only half the battle here. Let's look at how this builds into systemic traps waiting for your income. Because the system itself operates on rules designed to penalize you the exact moment you cross certain arbitrary lines. There is a massive difference between a tax bracket and an income cliff. A tax bracket is just a toll booth. It takes a slightly bigger slice of your next dollar, but it waves you right through. You still keep most of that extra dollar. An income cliff, on the other hand, is a trapdoor. It doesn't just take a slice, it takes everything at once the moment you cross a specific line. It doesn't care if you are just one single dollar over the limit, the floor simply falls out from under you. The magic number that triggers these trapdoors isn't your overall net worth or how much you have sitting in a savings account. It's your modified adjusted gross income, or MAGI. This is the income you show on paper each year, and this one figure determines your safety net.
Crossing the wrong threshold can instantly disqualify you from crucial healthcare subsidies or trigger massive Medicare surcharges, known as IMA. This completely reprices your cost of living, literally no matter how frugal your daily habits actually are. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer danger of those trapdoors. Let's just look at the healthcare subsidy cliff. Earning just $2,000 over a specific subsidy line can trigger an $8,750 penalty in extra insurance costs. Just think about that math for a second. You earn $2,000 more, and the system charges you nearly $9,000 more. A modest raise literally just wiped out a massive chunk of your wealth instantly. That, my friends, is a trapdoor.
Act 3. The two families. Let's see how these systemic and psychological traps play out over a whole lifetime by looking at two very different paths. Because how you treat your income at the beginning determines the entirety of your endgame. So we're contrasting Alton's high salary and high fixed costs with Wanda. Now, Wanda is 26, a dental hygienist making about $87,500 a year. She doesn't have some giant tech salary. In fact, she recently skipped a friend's wedding because a $400 flight was basically the whole conversation that month. But Wanda did one absolutely crucial thing. She built a saver's balance sheet to protect herself from that graduation reflex. She started banking a flat $600 monthly surplus into an index fund at age 26, and she ruthlessly protected that surplus from lifestyle inflation. By never upgrading that fixed contribution and letting the clock of compounding do its thing over 39 years, Wanda arrives at age 65 with almost $1.5 million in today's purchasing power. Her actual statement will read somewhere around $3.4 million, but even after inflation politely eats its share, she still has $1.46 million of real, spendable wealth. It is a phenomenal victory of time over sheer income. So let's look at the final scoreboard for our three workers. Wanda the hygienist, Otis the blue-collar electrician who started saving light but threw $900 a month at it, and Alton the software developer. Despite earning twice the paycheck, Alton finishes with roughly 60% of the wealth of the electrician. And Wanda lapped them both. Income was quite literally the absolute worst predictor of wealth among the three of them.
Conclusion: redefining wealth.
It is really time to redefine what being wealthy actually means, because a high salary is clearly a terrible predictor of wealth. The title on your email signature and the size of your gross paycheck, they're just vanity metrics if they are immediately devoured by the graduation reflex and income cliffs. Real wealth isn't a shiny job title, it's not upgrading your lifestyle to a bigger house or a luxury truck. As our source notes, nobody who actually got wealthy was chasing the word millionaire. They were buying one specific thing: the ability to say no. No to the extra shift, no to the bad boss, and no to the client who calls at 9 o'clock at night. Wealth is owning your own time. So don't ask yourself if you're a millionaire yet. The real question is about the two clocks running in your life right now. The first clock is compounding. It works for you, slowly but surely building your wealth. The second clock is the rising cost of your lifestyle and those systemic traps waiting for your income. You don't win this game by running faster on the treadmill of promotions and raises. You win it by making absolutely sure your first clock outruns your second one. So, I'll leave you at this. Which clock is winning in your life right now?